Welcome to a session, a conversation on Nagorno-Karabakh. My name is Celeste Wallander. I am privileged to serve as moderator for this panel. And thank you for the assistance from the audience in my duties. I am going to start by inviting our esteemed guests to offer some initial thoughts on the challenges and opportunities each sees in the challenge of resolving the dispute over Nagorno-Karabakh. And then we will have time for some questions and some further discussion. Our guests today are President İlham Aliyev of Azerbaijan and Prime Minister Nikol Paşinyanın of Armenia. The two leaders are at the heart of something that the Munich Security Conference has always sought to speak to and to help advance, which is the peaceful resolution of disputes in the international system. And I'm really grateful to Chairman Ischinger for making sure that this issue it remains on the agenda and in the attention of the Munich Security Conference. With that, let me turn to President Aliyev and invite him to offer his thoughts on the challenges and opportunities.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to express gratitude to Chairman Ischinger for organizing this event. I told Mr. Ischinger just now that there was an opportunity to deliver the messages from Armenian and Azerbaijani leadership several years ago in Davos. And the predecessor of Mr. Pashinyan was supposed to attend, but last moment he cancelled his participation. So I'm glad that finally we get to the point, so we'll be able to deliver the messages and to answer the questions, which I think will be enough today. So first of all, on the resolution, in order to talk about how to resolve the conflict, first we need to go back and to look to the history of the issue. Nagorno-Karabakh is part of Azerbaijan. This is historical truth, and this is based on the international law norms. And territorial integrity of Azerbaijan is recognized by the whole world, and Nagorno-Karabakh is integrated part of our country. From historical point of view, back in 1805, the Khan of Karabakh, Ibrahim Khan, signed a treaty with General of Russian Empire, Tsitsyanov. Under this treaty, Karabakh Khanate, Azerbaijani Karabakh Khanate, as an independent country, became under the rule of the Russian Empire. In that treaty was called Kürekçay Treaty. The text of this treaty is in internet. Nothing is said about Armenian population of Karabakh. Other treaties were signed in 1813 and 1828, Gülistan and Turkmenchai. Under these treaties, the rest part of Azerbaijan became part of Russian Empire, and also Dagestan, Georgia, and Armenia also. So this is a historical part of the issue. Then, during the period when Russian Empire collapsed and Georgian and Azerbaijani Democratic Republic were established, one of the first decrees of Azerbaijani Democratic Republic in 1918 was to transfer Yerevan from Azerbaijan to Armenia and to announce it a capital of Armenia. This is also a historical fact. If you give something to someone, that means that this something belonged to you. In 1921, the Caucasus Bureau of the Bolshevik Party made a decision to retain Nagorno-Karabakh within Azerbaijan, to retain and not to transfer, as some Armenian historians want to present. This is also a historical fact. And the other historical fact is that in 1923, the Azerbaijani Soviet Social Republic issued a decree on creation of Nagorno-Karabakh Autonomous District, inside Azerbaijan. So this is a history. And then in the end of 80s, Armenia launched an aggression against Azerbaijan. 300,000 Azerbaijanis were deported from the territory of Armenia. And then in the beginning of the 90s, Armenia launched aggression already against Azerbaijan Republic. And as a result of that aggression, almost 20% of our territories are under occupation. And 1 million of Azerbaijanis became refugees and IDPs. Our people were subject of ethnic cleansing. And in 1992, previous Armenian regime committed a war crime, genocide of Khojaly. As a result, 613 innocent civilians, among them 106 women and 63 children, were brutally killed. More than 10 countries recognize genocide of Khojaly. Coming to the international law issue, once again, Nagorno-Karabakh is part of Azerbaijan. United Nations Security Council adopted 4 resolutions demanding withdrawal of Armenian troops from the occupied territories. These resolutions are not resolved. Therefore, any solution which will be achieved as a result of peaceful negotiation must provide preservation of internationally recognized territorial integrity of Azerbaijan. I will now conclude in order not to use more time than it was planned. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for that overview. Mr. Prime Minister, I think we are ready to hear your views on this issue.
Okay, thank you. You know, I would ask President Aliyev not to go so far into history, because when Armenian King Tigran the Great was negotiating with Pompey, a Roman military leader, there wasn't any country in the South Caucasus, in all around the world, named Azerbaijan. And so I don't think it is right way to go so far, because I could go even further and start from, for example, 400 years before Christ. But I wouldn't do that, because I don't think it is right way to go. As far as Nagorno-Karabakh is concerned as like a country, you know, I should say that I'm not agree with President Aliyev, because Caucasian Bureau decided to Karabakh to be a part of Azerbaijan, Armenia, I'm sorry. And after that decision, and this was totally lawful decision, and after that, according to the personal initiative of Joseph Stalin, this decision was changed in the Moscow, and it was like a plot between Stalin, Lenin, and Ataturk. And Karabakh never been a part of the independent state of Azerbaijan. And Karabakh was put into Azerbaijan only in the process of forming Soviet Union. And when we are speaking on the territorial integrity, we should decide about which country territorial integrity we are speaking. My question is, if Azerbaijan respected territorial integrity of Soviet Union, becoming independent country, as Azerbaijan left Soviet Union, in the same way Nagorno-Karabakh left Soviet Union. You can say that I'm now speaking on a country which doesn't exist, meaning Soviet Union. But the Soviet Republic, which contains Nagorno-Karabakh, also doesn't exist. There is no Soviet Republic, Soviet Socialist Republic of Azerbaijan. And that is true. And like Azerbaijan gained independence from Soviet Union, in the same way, Karabakh gained independence both from Soviet Union and from Soviet Azerbaijan. As far as Khojaly is concerned, in the mid-90s, former president of Azerbaijan, Ayaz Mutalibov, gave an interview to the Russian paper Argumenti I Fakti, saying that the provocation in Khojaly was organized by Azerbaijani opposition to tackle him from the power. And this happened actually because as a result of that event, Ayaz Mutalipov was tackled from the post of president of Azerbaijan. About the UN Security Council documents. If we will, what was the general meaning of those documents? The general meaning of those documents was unconditionally and immediately ceasefire to stop any violence and stop military actions. And when we will see US Security Council Resolution 884, we will see that they're written that Azerbaijan violated ceasefire, and as a result, Azerbaijan lost territories. And first of all, it's Azerbaijan that didn't keep the conditions of the Security Council document. And it is very important to state. But you know, I don't think it is good way for Armenian and Azerbaijani leaders every time repeat the same thing. Unfortunately, within last 25, even 30 years, we are repeating every time the same things. And I'm afraid international community maybe somehow is tired hearing the same thing. And I think that we need to bring some new ideas. And I would like to say that when I became Prime Minister of Armenia through the non-violent Velvet People's Revolution, I understood that it isn't possible to solve 30 years lasting conflict with one or two steps. And I thought that for solving this problem, we need to have revolutions. And I started the process of micro-revolutions, and in the next opportunity when the floor would come to me, I will present you the role of micro-revolutions in Nagorno-Karabakh negotiation process that I initiated. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. Before we were that is a welcome topic of conversation. I thought as a logical follow-up to the historical background that each of you has offered to the group. And as a political scientist, I always want to get on to the solution. I feel like historians help us understand, but they don't help us always understand how to move forward. Sorry for any historians in the room. What I wanted to get your thoughts on, and I'll start with you, Mr. Prime Minister, if you're here in an international audience, many experienced negotiators, many who have worked on this challenge for some 30 years and trying to support a peaceful resolution of the dispute. What is the one thing you would want to see from the international community to help you advance what you think is an equitable, peaceful solution to the challenge of Nagorno-Karabakh? And maybe about 2-minute answer.
Yes,
I'll turn to the
there
President.
is a very concrete thing that international community could do. Make it clear that there is no any military solution for Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. There is no any military solution, and international community should make it strongly and very clear. If someone thinks otherwise, saying that there is military solution for Nagorno-Karabakh conflict, I guess that people of Nagorno-Karabakh conflict would answer, in that case, we can say that this conflict already solved. So, but I think we need to sustainable peace, and Armenia, and I'm not represent Nagorno-Karabakh in negotiation process, but I know that Armenia and Nagorno-Karabakh are ready to put real efforts to create in our region sustainable peace. And as a Prime Minister of Armenia, I perceive this situation not only my responsibility for security of my country, but I understand my responsibility for regional security and for global security. And I invite President Aliyev to perceive this situation as our mutual task to create sustainable peace and stability, and perceive this situation not only an issue of our national agenda, but also an agenda of global and regional security, and our duty and our responsibility to bring our effort, our input to the global security. And I would assure you that Armenia and Nagorno-Karabakh are ready for that.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. Those were very helpful, and thank you for sharing your priorities with us. President Aliyev, may I ask you the same question? You are very experienced in negotiating this. You've dealt with many people in this room on the issue, but help us understand, what do you think is the most important at this moment in history for the international community to do to help you advance what you think is an equitable and peaceful resolution to the conflict?
First of all, I'd like to make one comment. I'm absolutely sure that we came here to tell the truth. And what I said in my introductory remarks is 100% truth, which can be easily checked right now. Just enter the internet, find those documents which I referred to, and you will understand who is telling truth and who is not. Second comment, I'd like also to clarify situation which in Armenia unfortunately became a kind of a attempt to find an excuse of what they've done in Khojaly. President Ayaz Mutalibov, he is in good health and he lives in Baku, maybe Armenian side doesn't know it, recently and many times said that he never said that Khojaly genocide was organized by Azerbaijanis. This is, as it is said today, it's a fake news which was invented by some of Armenian journalists in Russia, and that was put in Russian press, but he never said that. And this is absolutely true. What committed the genocide in Khojaly, their names are well known. They have been local Armenians, Armenians from Armenia, and Armenians from diaspora. And the names of these people are well known, and many books and international articles were published about that. Therefore, to say that Azerbaijanis themselves brutally killed 63 children, 100 women, and 1,000 people are still missing is a peak of cynicism. With respect to what international community should do, I think the most important is that international community, and when we talk about international community, we talk primarily about OSCE Minsk Group co-chairs efforts. They should at last very clearly explain to Armenian side that Nagorno-Karabakh is not Armenia, that Nagorno-Karabakh is not independent country. No one recognizes this illegal entity. So this is number one. The second, I think there should be more international pressure on Armenia in order to implement resolutions of Security Council, because there is no higher international body than Security Council of United Nations. And they adopted 4 resolutions. It's easy to check. The numbers of these resolutions are known to specialists. What it says Armenian troops should immediately and unconditionally withdraw from the occupied territories. Not only Nagorno-Karabakh is occupied, but 7 districts surrounding it. Armenia wants to hide it. 7 districts where Armenians never lived. In the last Soviet census of 1989, the population of Nagorno-Karabakh was identified as 189,000 people, out of which 139,000 Armenians, 48,000 Azerbaijanis, and some other representatives of other people. So all Azerbaijanis were ethnically cleansed from Nagorno-Karabakh and from our ancient city of Shusha. Then all Azerbaijanis were ethnically cleansed from 7 districts. They committed a genocide against our people, against our culture. They destroyed our mosques. They destroyed our graves. They changed the name of our cities. They now publish the map of Nagorno-Karabakh, which consists of all the occupied territories. And then they say that we should agree with these realities. Therefore, international community should explain first that Nagorno-Karabakh is Azerbaijan, and second, put a serious pressure on aggressor to stop it. Prime Minister, just one minute. Okay. Prime Minister just said about peace. Okay, I agree. But how it correlates with what happened today on the line of contact when Azerbaijani soldier was killed by Armenian sniper?
So I think the elements of the challenge are clear to everyone. There is a complicated history, territory that has been part of different political entities over time, the human tragedy of refugees and those killed on both sides, a ceasefire that is not held for a period of time enough to create trust and a basis for moving forward on a political negotiation. So I'd welcome some questions on some of these issues.
May I make several?
How about, so I want to move to the questions, and I'm guessing that the questions will provide the opportunity for following up on several of those issues, if I may, because I do want to, I have my boss sitting right here, and I don't want to break the rules. We got to get to the questions. Thank you, sir. Yes, the first question, with help. I have a microphone in the audience, I believe. Yes? And after I created the space for a question, now you're all going to fail me. Is this right? Because then I'll just turn back to Mr. Prime Minister. Please, you can follow up.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to. I will come to that question. Yeah, we'll come to that question. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
You know, I would like to make several comments. First of all, on resolution of UN Security Council, there is no word Armenian troops. There is written local Armenian forces. That means that people of Nagorno-Karabakh formed forces for self-defense, and there is no written Armenian troops. About victims, yes, it is tragedy. It is conflict. and thousands of people died as a result of that conflict. And both Armenian and Azerbaijanis. And this is fact. But personally, me, I read in the newspaper, Argumenti I Fakti, the interview of former president of Azerbaijan. And I think we can find it easily in the internet. On historical facts, there is a book, Nagorno-Karabakh, Legal Aspect, and what I said, you can find it there, and you can find it in the historical books. Names of city and about the ethnic cleanses. In Nagorno-Karabakh was the region of Shaumian. Living,
it was not in Nagorno-Karabakh.
Living
I'm going to give you a chance.
with Armenian. Okay. There is a Shaumian. Let's. My opinion is Nagorno-Karabakh. Okay, but there is a region.
I'm going to give you a chance. Sir, I'm going to give
There is a region, Shaumian,
Professor.
and in 1988 they lived 100% population of Armenians, and now there is no one Armenian, and the name of Shaumian is changed into the Azerbaijani name. It is a difficult word to me, and President Aliyev said that today Azerbaijani soldier was killed, and I can say that today in the border of Kazakh, Armenia and Azerbaijan, Armenian soldier was injured by the Azerbaijani snipers. And this is our mutual task. What to do? Stop this process.
Thank you. That's a good place to turn over. I am going to give you, Mr. President, the opportunity to answer the specific points you disagree with, and then we do have a questioner, so I don't want to miss that opportunity. Please.
Just comments, because once again, I came here to tell the truth. And once again I tell, I don't know what was written in Argumenti Fakti. Argumenti Fakti is a newspaper, it's an independent newspaper where many Armenians work. And we in Azerbaijan know the number of Armenians who run the leading Russian press, so they can write whatever they want. Therefore, I refer to the official statement of the former president of Azerbaijan, Ayaz Mutalibov, who said that he never said that. So now look, the former president, his word, and the word of one pro-Armenian or Armenian journalist, which has more value. This is first thing. About Shaumian, Mr. Prime Minister was just pointing that it was Stalin who made a decision to give Nagorno-Karabakh to Azerbaijan, which is wrong, because again, look at the Caucasus Bureau, July 1921, when it is said to retain Nagorno-Karabakh in Azerbaijan and not to transfer it to Azerbaijan. But if he doesn't like Stalin so much, it's strange why he likes so much Shaumian. Because Shaumian was one of the Bolsheviks. He was a person who killed innocent Azerbaijanis. And today's so-called capital of Nagorno-Karabakh is named after his name. The question, if Nagorno-Karabakh is an ancient Armenian territory, why doesn't it have the ancient Armenian name for the capital? Because the ancient name for the capital is Khan Kandi, the village of the Khan. And the Stepanakert, because Shaumian's name was Stepan, Kert means city, that's right, in Armenia. Stepanakert was named in the name of that Bolshevik. So that once again proves that there was no Armenian historical legacy on those territories. And coming back to from where I began, this historical issue is important for understanding how the conflict should be resolved.
Thank you, sir. I hope everyone's taking notes, because we're getting a history lesson here with multiple dimensions. We do have a question, please. And if you would identify yourself as you answer, so we know with whom we're speaking.
Thank you very much. My name is Florian Kühner. I am a research fellow with the Max Planck Institute for International Law. And President Aliyev already mentioned the role of international law. My question would be, To both, would you submit this dispute to the International Court of Justice via special agreement?
Mr. President, may I ask you to address the question first?
No, Azerbaijan is committed to the negotiation process. Therefore, we did not lose hopes that by negotiations we will be able to restore our territorial integrity. Therefore, when still we have these hopes, probably that will not be the best choice. But if, as a result of the new approach from Armenian side, the negotiations will be completely disrupted, then, of course, this option can be considered.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Prime Minister?
We also devoted to the negotiation process, peace process, as I said, and I think that negotiation should take place in the format of OSCE Minsk Group co-chairmanship, and we are working very intensively, and as I said, we are ready to put real efforts to make real difference and to reach to the solution of conflict. But nobody asked me about many revolutions that I've met in negotiation process. I hope I will have opportunity.
I am asking you to please explain.
Next time.
I'm asking
About
him to
revolutions,
mini
no,
revolutions.
that's not what I
mini
want to
revolutions.
hear.
I'm asking you to explain your mini.
My conceptual perception is that, as I said already, it isn't possible just solve this long-lasting conflict with 1-2 step. We need, why I'm saying micro-revolution, because I think that we need to have micro-revolution conditionally to transform it into mini-revolution, and after that to have real breakthrough in negotiation process. What was the micro-revolution? In the September of 2018, I announced that any solution of Nagorno-Karabakh conflict should be acceptable for people of Armenia, for people of Karabakh, and for people of Azerbaijan. And why this is micro-revolution? Because I'm first Armenian leader saying that any solution should be acceptable for Azerbaijani people as well. And but now, after more than 1 year after that revolution, I'm not only leader of Armenia, but I'm only leader Azerbaijan and Armenia, that saying that any solution should be acceptable for all sides. It is very important micro-revolution. Another revolution, during one of my press conference, I called to users of social media, Azerbaijani and Armenian users of social media, not to use social media to offend each other, to threaten each other, and to insult each other, but use social media, new technologies, for trying to understand each other better. And it is another way, and I think that we should, and I tried to address directly to the Azerbaijani people, and if President Aliyev don't mind, and I don't mind that President Aliyev would speak with Armenian people. But we have very strange fact. President Aliyev is refusing to speak to representatives of Nagorno-Karabakh, and it is very strange fact. How it is possible to solve Nagorno-Karabakh conflict without speaking with the representatives of Nagorno-Karabakh? By the way, Nagorno-Karabakh was recognized as a party of conflict and party of negotiation by the OSCE, and this happened twice, in 24 March of 1992 and in 1994 in Budapest OSCE summit.
Thank you. So let me ask President Aliyev, what do you think of the 3 proposed micro-revolutions to seek the views of Azerbaijani citizens who've suffered from the war, Armenian citizens and the residents of Nagorno-Karabakh, and I assume also the occupied territories you would want to, or including refugees from those occupied territories you would want to include. And the idea of social media not being, we've heard a lot about this today, exacerbating force for hostility among the peoples, and the idea of being able to welcome speaking to one another's citizens honestly.
You know, during my experience of negotiation with Armenian leaders, I had this opportunity with two predecessors of Mr. Paşinyan. Always in the very decisive moment of negotiations, they found some excuse in order not to continue. Otherwise, to put it, all of them wanted to keep status quo unchanged, but all of them tried to do it differently. Now, when Prime Minister Paşinyan talks about his proposal that the resolution must be accepted to the people of Azerbaijan, I answered to that. And I said, what is acceptable to the people of Azerbaijan? People of Azerbaijan, those who suffer from Armenian aggression, want to go back to their homes. It is their fundamental right. They are deprived from this right for almost 30 years because Armenian leadership, it is not Nagorno-Karabakh, and when Prime Minister talks about so-called self-defense forces of Nagorno-Karabakh, again he's telling things which is not true, because he knows very well, and I know, that more than 80% of so-called Nagorno-Karabakh army are citizens of Armenia. And this is true, maybe even more than 80%. Therefore, there is no Nagorno-Karabakh army. There is no Nagorno-Karabakh republic. And there are only two parties to the conflict, Armenia and Azerbaijan. Ask OSCE Minsk co-chairs, who are the parties to the conflict? They will say the same, Armenia and Azerbaijan. Nagorno-Karabakh is not. Why it is not? It is other question, but it is not, and we are not going to talk to them. We are talking to aggressor. We are ready to talk to Nagorno-Karabakh in case Armenia stops funding this illegal entity, Armenia pulls back all the military troops from Nagorno-Karabakh, and completely withdraws from our territory. And then we will have, you know, arguments to talk to these people. But until they are there, no way. And they want to keep status quo unchanged. They think that they can keep these territories under occupation forever. And I'm sure that that will not be the case, and our territorial integrity must be restored. We had, coming to the second part, we had exchange of journalists recently. And I think that was an experience which we need to evaluate. We need to evaluate its positive and negative side, because part of society in Armenia and in Azerbaijan was not very supportive to that format. But that was a decision by two leaders to try. We want to try every opportunity to find a peaceful settlement, to persuade Armenian people that they cannot live like that forever. They need to find a solution with us and live in the future in peace as neighbors.
Well, I appreciate you reporting that constructive step, or that attempt at a constructive attempt, because that's the spirit we want to support. We have time for maybe one more question and some closing remarks. Is there another question from the floor? Yes.
Thanks a lot. My name is Elena Chernenko. I'm a Russian journalist from the Kommersant newspaper and the Munich Young Leader of 2015. Russia is one of the countries that is trying to bring about a solution within the OSCE process. And as far as I understand, one of the proposals was maybe leaving the status question for later and trying to do something that maybe the sides can more eagerly agree about, for example, about those districts around Nagorno-Karabakh, creating a corridor and other steps. So do you see any chances for an interim solution that would leave the status question for later and resolve maybe some of the other things? Thank you.
President Aliyev, do you have thoughts on the question?
Yes, I think this is possible, and this proposal was seriously considered by Azerbaijan, and in general we gave our agreement to that. That's the most reasonable thing to do, because it's clear that we need to resolve this conflict in phases. We cannot resolve it one and completely in one day. It should be put in phases, and the first phase should be, and as the journalist said in the Russian proposal, liberation of part of the occupied territories, return of Azerbaijani IDPs to those territories, resettlement of that territory. In the meantime, the process of normalization of relations between Armenia and Azerbaijan, and the status of Nagorno-Karabakh to be discussed later when both sides are ready. Because without the process on the ground, without beginning of liberation of the territories, it will be not possible to agree on the status. Our position is that status must not interfere with territorial integrity of Azerbaijan. At the same time, we always were saying that Azerbaijan is a multi-confessional and multinational country. There are many national minorities in Azerbaijan who live in peace and dignity. And when our territorial integrity is fully restored, Armenians as national minority will enjoy all the rights and privileges as any other representative of any other nation in our country.
Well, thank you, President Aliyev. Step by step sounds like your own micro-revolution, so I like this theme.
And by the way, we have one mutual mini revolution. I hope I will have opportunity to tell about that.
You have the floor.
Yeah. And when we first met in Dushanbe, in capital of Tajikistan, after that we with President Aliyev made a little mini revolution, because after that meeting the tension after that meeting in general reduced unprecedentedly, and we've been able to create direct line for contact and information, and I should accept that in that case President Aliyev is co-author with me. As far as President Aliyev is saying territories, and from point of view and in perception of Azerbaijan, these are territories, but from point of view of Karabakh, this is security, because we need to understand why current status quo emerged. Because when Nagorno-Karabakh tried to use its right for self-determination, military actions started against Armenians of Nagorno-Karabakh. And Armenians of Nagorno-Karabakh were forced to organize self-defense. President Aliyev was speaking on Shushi, and the capital of Nagorno-Karabakh, Stepanakert, within years was bombed from Shushi, and peaceful citizens, they are living in underground for many long time. And this is the truth. It isn't, it isn't possible to give up security for anyone, and for Karabakh as well. President Aliyev mentioned military forces of Azerbaijan. My son is passing its military service in Nagorno-Karabakh, but he went there as a voluntarily to defend his compatriots, because he knows history, what happened from 1998. And I already said about the Shaumian region with 100% of Armenian population, but now there live no one Armenian. And we know the case of Nakhichevan with huge Armenian population, and it is an autonomous republic in the Azerbaijan, and now there is no one Armenian. And one more sentence. President Aliyev is saying that Nagorno-Karabakh isn't a part of negotiation and the conflict, but Azerbaijan twice signed agreement with Nagorno-Karabakh. First, it was in 1994, and it was ceasefire agreement between Armenia, Nagorno-Karabakh, and Azerbaijan, and ministers of defense signed that, and after 3 months, in July of 1994, they confirmed that the ceasefire would be kept until the political resolution of that conflict.
So we are at the end of our session. I think that I would like to express my gratitude to President Aliyev and to Prime Minister Paşinyan for their extraordinary knowledge, their extraordinary passion. I think it is clear that both of these leaders care very deeply about resolving the conflict, but care very deeply about how the conflict will be resolved, and we cannot expect less. I also think, in addition to the fact that we heard the full scope of the challenge and the dynamics of the challenge and the elements of the challenge, we also, and I'm grateful to both of you, heard elements of what the opportunities could also be for a way forward in improving the lives of those affected by the conflict, and maybe through micro steps or micro revolutions, beginning a constructive process of finding a peaceful resolution. So we are extraordinarily lucky at this historic opportunity here at the Munich Security Conference. And let us thank, please, President Aliyev and Prime Minister Paşinyan for sharing their thoughts with us. Please.
With your permission, just one remark, because that topic, just one constructive, yeah, on self-determination only. I will not talk about the fact that in Yerevan 70% of population were Azerbaijanis in the beginning of 19th century. I will not talk about that. That's what I said. Okay. On self-determination. That's what they always talk about. Armenian people self-determinated themselves. They have an Armenian state. My advice is to find other place on earth to self-determinate them for the second time, not in Azerbaijan.
I have to.
It wasn't.
30 seconds.
Mr. President, it wasn't so constructive, but I would say, in times of the Tigran the Great, in our region, there were only 2 nations, Armenian and Georgians. There were no one, and not only in the times of the Tigran the Great, but in times of Bagratunis, in times of Arshakunis. You could find it in any historic book,
At least they're both laughing.
But
They're both laughing, right? They're both laughing.
But I'm very glad for this discussion, and I would like one more time confirm that Armenia and Nagorno-Karabakh are ready to put real effort to solving this conflict. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.